Ability to get medical care. They're murdering your ability to get the truth. They're criminals. They are terrorists. Raping us. They are
lines.
Speak about it because you always, I'm not being solicitous, but you're always straight up about what you're doing. And the question is, what is it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved. Quickly.
Well, that means, you mean for the FDA?
For the FDA. Some of the stuff, I mean, QAnon. The idea that the Democrats or the Biden is hiding people. Seriously. You may. Right. Look, it's a simple thing. You can walk out and say, I just don't like the way that guy wears his tie. I'm voting against him. You have a right to do that. And by Democrats as well. Sort of the venom get sort of leak out of a lot of it.
Welcome, my friends, on this live Thursday, July 22nd broadcast. You can't really overstate the fiasco of the train. I did not watch it live with Owen Schroyer and Rob Dew and again, some of the crew. So I watched the whole an hour and a half. Feel good, like, oh, here's my enemy purposely not eating anymore because she wanted to die. She weighed about 90 pounds. And she was way more coherent the day she died of self-imposed, basically, starvation. I'm not blaming her. That's the Christian way to go if you want to go. Refuse morphine, refuse it all, just didn't eat. Refused cancer surgery. Cancer was eating her up. They'd already done cancer surgery years before, so she said she wasn't going to do it anymore. But I'm digressing. My 92-year-old grandmother, eaten alive by cancer, starving herself to death, as she was dying, was more coherent than he is on stage. Was. Angels. My grandmother, when she died, coherent when he was dying. People dying are more coherent than this individual, and that's because he's a tombstone. He's a sign that they've dominated us, and they're going to rub this into our faces. I have articles here all over the country. They're putting men in prisons and letting them rape women in women's prisons, and then telling the women just having to abort penises. And we have a reanimated corpse up there on TV that is just a sign of how pathetic we are. And I'm being honest, we're not going to climb out of this until we admit what a joke. We're being gaslit to death and it needs to stop. I mean, the entire town hall was the biggest. It's just going to get worse. I mean, my God, they did this on purpose. Welcome, my friends, to this July 22nd, Thursday edition. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Yeah, let me relax and take it real slow. Let me do this. Let me just read you some of the headlines out of the 200 or so articles and the 100 or so video clips I've got here in front of me. Let me just do that for you. And then I'll go through as much of it as I can. Here, let's go right over here. This is the Washington Post yesterday. We are testing too many vaccinated people who lack COVID symptoms. And they're saying the PCR test is 90+% false positive. And so they should just stop testing the people that have had the vaccine and only make those of us that haven't take the test so they can then restrict us, which they admit's a fraud. They admit criminal, evil activity. That's just one article. Oh, and they admit Trump was right the whole time. When Trump wants you to believe coronavirus cases are up because they test, he's wrong. Really? That was October of last year. That headline aged quite well, didn't it? Trump said more COVID-19 testing creates more cases. Oh, gee, we did the math and he's wrong, says the news. No. So that's a big story right there, huh? Get it? You're going to be tested because you haven't been injected with the poison. They're going to say you're positive. The contact tracers are going to take you away. By the way, that was announced on Austin News last night. The first thing I saw was, oh, it's a fiasco with Biden. It's all done on purpose just to rub it into our faces. This is a sick joke for the globalists. It demoralizes. But before I did that, I looked at this KXAN news piece that sounds like something like a 1980s movie, like Running Man and a future dystopic thing. It's like, we're coming with a con. That up. Austin Public Health gets tested to help stop the spread. It's not the illness now, it's the spread that a fake computer says you have. That's just one article on a whole stack. We've got, in other news, massive looting going on all over the country in Democrat cities who passed laws allowing looting. Watch California shoplifters stroll out of TJ Maxx with arms full of merchandise. One of them looks like Santa Claus with a huge bag over their back. Eric Clapton says he won't play shows where proof of vaccine is required. That's how you push back. That's just some of the news. Let me plow through some more of the COVID takeover news, because that's everything. This is a video. Senator Ron Johnson unloads on Fauci. We're going to play this next segment. He's culpable. He's lying. He needs to be held accountable. And Johnson's one of the best guys we got up there. He goes, this is the big media, the big corporations doing this to take our rights, suppressing treatment, suppressing news, using fake testing. This is a criminal takeover. Yes, where this is 21st century war. This is the modern warfare attack. Let's wake up to that and let's understand that. Austin Public Health. Get tested for COVID-19. Comply with contact tracers to help stop the spread. And that ties in to the next story. Biden administration considering urging vaccinated people to start wearing face masks again as Delta variant spreads and vaccine rollout stalls. You see, you must always take the shots to leave your house. There will always be new variants. You must always take new shots to leave your house. Oh, and then you still can't leave your house as they get ready to announce new lockdowns. Biden gets ready for mask mandates for children under 12 because they know they're not going to end up approving it under 12. There's just some little speck of humanity left. And so we're just going to muzzle them and two masks and teach them that they're slaves. New lockdowns. Meanwhile, Democrat who features in infamous maskless flight pic calls for universal mask wearing. Of course they do. And it's all over the world. English care homes could lose 70,000 staff over mandatory COVID jab. It's all fraudulent. And huge developments on that front. Shock. Vaccinated patients could have permanent heart damage. Some may die within 3 years. That's what the studies show. Very powerful.
Bomb reset.
List of UK venues that could mandate vaccine passports already expanding. Oh, don't worry, it's only a few places. Oh, now it's the grocery store. That'll come here as well. Vast majority of Cape Cod COVID clusters were vaccinated. Got a whole stack of all over the world. It's the vaccinated that are mainly dying. and mainly getting sick with the actual numbers. But don't worry, Fauci is all over the news saying 99% of the new cases and the deaths are the unvaccinated lying to you. And each one of these is a inch-and-a-half stack of articles we're going to be getting to. More on Rand Paul's doubled down, Rand Paul has doubled down, saying that he wants criminal charges against Fauci. Fauci's clearly been caught lying about ever was. Getting upset, saying they don't want an investigation of Wuhan, but then starting to threaten that, hey, we had an agreement with Fort Detrick and Obama to transfer these viruses to us. So when they say, hey, the Pentagon's involved, that's true under Obama. Trump was not involved in this. Not just defending Trump, it's a fact. 2017, he killed these programs to the outrage of the New World Order. But China's like, hey, if you're going to bust us, we're going to bust you. So we're really getting to that critical point where it's very pregnant right now, 9 months pregnant. They're not going to be able to keep the truth from being born. So very explosive point to be at. Right now, we're going to be talking about all of that. Obviously, we're talking about the designed psyop to demoralize us of having Biden continually for an hour and a half, or however long it lasted, it seemed like 10 hours long, of the town hall last night, self-destructing, melting, knowing where he was, completely full of horse crap. Again, I've had family members die in front of me that were more cogent than this. I mean, this was laughing host. Hey, we're in America. That's at Zero Hedge. Klaus Schwab, the humanist, versus Klaus Schwab, the terrorist. And that's really what they are, is environmental terrorists who claim they're doing all this to bring down human society, to save the earth from us, but really they're transhumanists playing God. That is all coming up as well. And we've got Biden regime promotes racial justice guide, pushing students and teachers to, quote, disrupt whiteness and remove whiteness from America. Sounds a lot like genocide. So that's all going to be broken down. But the first thing I want to hit is big tech and the big media working in this combine. And it ties into the short little piece we're going to play of Senator Ron Johnson talking about the culpability of Fauci and others. How big tech isn't just censoring, they're murdering people. They're murdering your ability to get medical care. They're murdering your ability to get the truth. They're murdering your ability to get treatments that are basically 100% effective. And they are murdering our republic. And they are criminals. They are terrorists. They are terrorists. They are now banning mainline news sites that point out vaccine injection, experimental injection of children without parental consent illegal. YouTube is now banning that. I mean, they are raping us. They are suppressing us while this depopulation, sterilization operation's carried out. They are terrorists. All right, finally, Congress gets the big picture. This is a premeditated, launched, multinational, globalist, UN, big tech, Fortune 1 world order attack on the Western world, on the middle class, on small businesses, on ranchers, on farmers, on doubled its power, doubled its profits the last year. So have all the big tech, so have all the big banks. They are assaulting us viciously, preparing another forced worldwide lockdown. And look at this. YouTube deletes Family Research Council video about vaccine to cover up the criminal activity going on. Channel for COVID, quote, misinformation, which again says it came out of a lab and says hydroxychloroquine helps you. They want to suppress you. They want to terrorize you. They want to literally rape you. And I want to point this out. This video on Facebook, on Twitter, they've been pulling it down, calling it vaccine disinformation. seen 3 years ago. I'm going to play this clip next segment. Watch Alex Jones predict a lockdown for manufactured virus pandemic. Because it's true. So now if somebody wrote a book 100 years ago about a stage pandemic, would you ban it? V for Vendetta's about that. You gonna ban V for Vendetta now? This is how controlled they are. Here's part of Senator Johnson knocking it out of the park on Fox News.
Lying here, Senator, it is you.
Wow. Senator Rand Paul says that now Fauci will be the subject of a criminal referral in a new letter to the Department of Justice. Joining me right now with more on this is Wisconsin Senator, member of the Senate Homeland Security, Foreign Relations, Budget Committees, Ron Johnson. Senator, it's wonderful to see you again. Thanks very much for being here. Weigh in on what you just heard in terms of gain-of-function research. Was it taking place in the Wuhan lab of virology?
Good morning, Maria. And of course, Dr. Fauci funded gain-of-function research. He can deny it all he wants. He can have his staff, who are beholden to him for their jobs, claim that somehow what is clearly gain-of-function research isn't gain-of-function research, but it was. He's culpable. He's lying about it, and he needs to be held accountable for it. We've written letters to Francis Collins, I guess his ultimate boss, the director of NIH. We're getting no response whatsoever. So the federal government, these federal health agencies have to become transparent. And I, for one, really appreciate what Senator Paul did in that hearing to expose, really his equivocation on this, his lying about what he did and didn't fund, and his potential role in the development of a chimeric coronavirus that is now infecting the world.
So you're calling for accountability. What do you want to see happen to Anthony Fauci? And also, I mean, look, they're not being transparent. You're calling for transparency. They're not being transparent. And social media and much of the media is going along with it, censoring all of this information, leaving the American people in the dark.
Well, first of all, the evidence of this has been hiding in plain sight for months, actually probably for years. All people really had to do is take a look at it. And that's what is so disingenuous about Dr. Fauci right now, trying to disclaim any involvement in gain-of-function research. And quite honestly, I think it's pretty obvious, too, that this coronavirus was not naturally occurring. It was man-made. It's a chimeric virus. Again, that has been obvious for months. So the American people deserve the truth. Really, the people of the world deserve the truth on this. And unfortunately, because of the cabal between social media, mainstream media, and our federal health agencies and big government, we're not getting the truth. The truth has been covered up for months, whether we're talking about gain-of-function research, whether we're talking about the effectiveness of early treatment. I can't explain all this, Maria. All I know is, something has gone off the rails here, and I'm trying to look for answers. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's interesting because the other day, Jen Psaki pretty much admitted that, said, oh, yes, we in the administration are in very close contact with social media to pretty much censor information that they didn't want out there. Will there be accountability on big tech?
That's really up to the public to hold them accountable, to start switching their alliance from these platforms to other platforms that actually allow free speech, that won't cooperate and collaborate and collude with big government. Social media has become Big Brother. It's the Big Brother arm of big government, and it should concern and frighten every American.
Let me know what you're going to do about it. I mean, the Republicans talk about this. Is there any way you can actually do something about it to bring these companies down to size? We know that, there's this fake fight going on between President Biden and Facebook, which I'm not buying because they're working together. What are your thoughts in terms of Section 230 or legislatively changing the prospects for these companies that have become incredibly dominant?
Well, because a media that is colluding with the Democrat Party, favors the Democrats, legislative, we're probably not going to be able to do a whole lot about this, not in the near future. What we need to do is we need to expose the truth. It's one of the reasons I held an event where I just allowed 5 women and a 13-year-old girl to tell their story about possible vaccine injuries. And of course, you know how that went over. Instead of showing even an ounce of sympathy for these people to at least have acknowledged that it might be a vaccine so you get to the root cause and develop effective treatments, instead, news media attacked me for allowing them to tell their stories. I just received this morning data out of Israel that shows the population's about 84% vaccinated, but the new cases of COVID in Israel are about 84% with vaccinated individuals. It's certainly looking like the Pfizer vaccine is not working against the Delta variant. Now, that's not being talked about here in U.S.
All right, let's
media.
stop right there. Ron Johnson's a great guy. I'd love him to be president, but he's also a very, very good person, so he has blind spots. I guess he doesn't have a wicked streak down his back like I do, so I see all these enemies' operations. Like I said, I'm in Satan's brain. And I think you're in Satan's brain as well, because God's given you discernment. We said over a year and a half ago, they're going to say new variants are the reason the vaccine doesn't work. You can't have a vaccine for a cold virus. There's thousands of different types every year. And Gates' own document said there'll be yearly boosters. They knew that. It's a fraud. It gets rid of your immune system. And Johnson's like, can't I have a Senate hearing with families? Why does Google censor it? Why does Twitter censor it? Because they're all going to go to prison if it comes out. They're all invested in big tech. Big tech is heavily invested in big pharma. And you have the warnings on these shots. They can give you heart attacks and strokes and Guillain-Barré. But see, the senator's still at the point of, oh, can't we just have a hearing to see if it's hurting somebody? Why don't you have a hearing and pouring a gallon of gasoline on yourself and lighting it hurts? Or maybe catches fire. We don't need a hearing about it. We know damn well what's going on. We need hearings about how we need to take back the FBI and the federal government and arrest the heads of Google, Facebook, and the rest of them. I mean, seriously, they are assaulting the living hell out of everybody. I read to you Operation Lockstep 3 years ago on air, and again 10 years ago we wrote articles about it when it first came out. And now they're deleting stuff that's reposted on Facebook and Twitter that I said 3 years ago about disinformation about this currently, because I called their ass out. Murderers. You know, if I seem angry here on my own show, the Alex Jones Show, it's because I am angry. I mean, all I do is study these liars, and I watch them change their story every day. I watch them lie to everybody. I watch them say, oh, 99% of people dying didn't have the vaccine. And then it turns out the majority dying had the vaccine, and the vaccine's killing them, and they're calling it COVID. And then they're saying, those of us that don't take it, it's our fault, when none of that even makes sense. If you're supposedly protected, you're protected. This is a giant scam. And then the main guy over the main bio research lab in the UK who's studying for John Hopkins and the whole world whether or not these vaccines work, these so-called vaccines that are genetic engineering. And he goes, oh yeah, once you take the Pfizer shot, it reduces your immune system by 6 times, and you got to keep taking shots forever. He just says it out in the open. Like everything they do. Joe Biden said last night, he said, if you take the vaccine, you cannot get COVID. What he means by that is pneumonia, the flu, a cold. It's a lie. It actually lowers your immune system so you'll get stuff. And when you die, they'll say it's COVID and a new variant while saying you're invincible. I mean, it's just in your face. Like you walk on a car lot and it's a burned out Pinto from 1971 or a burned out Gremlin from 1975. And you go, this is a brand new Ferrari with leather seats from Italy. You go, it's a burned out Pinto. They go, no, it's not. So you go on the internet and you type, well, I went to this weird car lot and they had a burned out car. It was a Ferrari. This guy's crazy. But imagine if he controls big tech, he won't let you talk and he'll say, this is a Ferrari. And sit there and gaslight you. This is ridiculous. They're in the news saying, oh, stop testing the vaccinated. Then when they say they're positive, there won't be a problem because they won't be tested. But test the people that haven't been vaccinated with the fake PCR test and say they're asymptomatic and lock them up. I mean, it's all happening in live time. The murder of logic. And we're all supposed to go along with it. Here it is. This video went out a few weeks ago. Darren McBreen put it out on June 2nd. So I guess over a month ago. Watch Alex Jones predict the lockdown for manufactured virus in 2018. Nobody really cares at Band.video about this video. And Darren put articles over it, made it look slick, did a great job. This thing, last time I even tried to count, had like 8 million views online. They took down all the versions. So now people repost it and it gets like 1 million views a day on Instagram or Twitter. Everybody's sending it to me. Members of Congress are sending it to me. Top talk show hosts are sending it to me. And this is just one little clip of my predictions from 2018. I just come back from Hawaii on a vacation, growing my beard for the first time. But the reason they took it down is they said it's disinformation. So how is it from 3 years ago, before the COVID thing